Peter Schmeichel, lovely to see you here in London. Hope you're keeping well.
Normally we see each other at the games. Yeah.
I must say, out of all of the Premier League legends, I think you're the one, you know, Fowler, John Barnes, Alan Shearer, you're the one interviewed the most, but always speechside. First, I'm in the studio. And I want to start with asking you about your relatively new role with CBS as a reporter.
Yeah.
How much are you enjoying this? Alongside that, you got interaction to do post-match with your son after a defeat or a win. And do you see television now slightly different because you are one of us?
Yes, of course I do. I mean, to start with that last bit, of course it's when you play and when you've played a game, for instance, and you meet this. I mean, obviously we are at the business end of the Champions League, for instance. There's so much media for the whole, everywhere in the world they're coming in, and you still have adrenaline flowing around your system, and you're being asked a stupid question, you know, you go, you know, it's not nice.
What we have is the greatest goalkeeper in Premier League history, alongside Peter Schmeichel.
I'm now part of those people asking the question. I'm going out of my way not to ask stupid questions. I'm going out of my way to try to be respectful, and also to the point. So I've had, you know, just to give an example of how I approach it, I'm at a game where the team, they lost 1-0, but it scored in the 5th added minute on extra time, but added on time. And I'm interviewing the manager afterwards, and instead of going, oh, that was really bad, you know, I get no answer out of it. So I say to him, that has got to be the worst part of your job. You know, you're playing so well, you had everything under control, you're away from home, you get a point, and then that happened. And then now you have to come and talk to them. And then he goes, yeah. And then, because then I relate to what I felt myself, you know. And then they will talk to me a little bit about the game in a different way. They're not so uptight. So I use a little bit of my own experience, and then of course I'm not a trained journalist, so it's not an easy job for me. But I get good experiences out of it. Yeah. And you know, you mentioned Kasper there. That was a fun interview. Even though they didn't lose the game, they drew with Bayern, but they were knocked out. So even though they were out, it was kind of a fun thing to do in a way. It was different, if I can put it that way. Okay. And also it made Kasper feel a little bit better about himself, you know. And I felt that was fun. And then of course I interviewed Alisson after the game he had on Wednesday in Paris.
I think the compliment coming from a legend, it makes even more special.
Me or Peter?
As Peter Schmeichel. You as well, Jamie, you as well.
I was just about to jump in, but then I'm waiting for it. Thank you very much.
This is big, you know. You are there. You are. Instead of being a manager or coach, you know, you're there and around the players, and you smell the grass, and you talk to the big guys, you know. And
speaking of Kasper, you and Kasper, alongside Sean Wright-Phillips and Ian Wright, are part of a very unique, exclusive fathers and sons who won the Premier League. I want to ask you about Leicester City winning the Premier League in 2016. I even speak about it now, I got goosebumps, because us Premier League lovers, viewers, I remember this season was incredible. Talk me through that season as the father of Kasper, who obviously you've been through his whole journey.
Yeah, but first and foremost, I think that's one of the most important Premier League seasons that we've had, because we claim that the Premier League is competitive, and we fight. I mean, we still fight to keep it competitive. We don't want, you know, 5 or 6 teams to run away with because they have all the money. We want everybody to have a chance, and that's fine in talking, you know, and in theory, on paper, and whatever you agree to. But you actually need somebody to go and do it. So Leicester did. They went and did it, and I think the way they did it was that they did it with players who in many ways had been rejected by other clubs.
Kasper was one of them?
Kasper was definitely one of them. There's a lot of players there who were deemed not good enough to be where they were, and then they all, you know, and they had this energy about them, which was amazing. And also, it was in many ways it was played to what the players were capable of doing.
Leicester turned it right round sparklingly and won it to go second in the Premier League. glorious goal! Leicester City are the champions of England, and the world is left to wonder, how on earth did that happen?
It was interesting, it was exciting, it was nerve-wracking, and it was everything that you wanted.
And when Kasper is lifting the trophy, how does it make you feel?
That, for me, I mean, I lifted that trophy 5 times myself, but that was the best one. Wow. That was, for me, the best one, because I'm the father of this kid. He's grown up watching me do that, but I played in a football club that was expected to win that. And that makes a difference. We were expected to do that. The team was designed to win the Premier League and, of course, move on to win other trophies. But with Leicester, they weren't, you know. Yeah. But they did something which was so incredible. They showed the world that if you have enough belief, you know, if you have enough belief, you can do the most incredible things, and they did. And when they won this trophy, I had no impact. I had no say. I had no control. I couldn't do anything other than sit and watch and follow developments. And I was, of course, so emotionally attached to this and involved with it. I was living every ball, living every cross that come in, every save. I was, you know, I was like a really nervous fan.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned about all the trophies you won. Let's talk about the man that led you, Sir Alex Ferguson. What was the formula, the magic of Sir Alex to manage his dressing room and to lead United in such a competitive way for so many years? And obviously you go to Old Trafford so often, and after all those defeats in the last few years, does Sir Alex says to you sometimes now, stop coming in and watch us, we keep on losing here at Old Trafford?
Yeah. Yeah, what is it with him? First of all, he was brought in to do a specific job. So the club wanted to change. They wanted to focus and emphasize on developing players, and you know what he'd done with Aberdeen. I think it was Bobby Charlton who actually came up with the idea of this guy. He is special. He's what we need. So he came to Manchester United and said, "Okay, I want the best kids in Manchester in the academy, and I want to develop them into Manchester United players. I want to change the dynamics of the internal workings of the football club as well. So, of course, thinking about the dressing room, the dynamics in there, and you don't do that in one day. You do that over a period of time. We find ourselves in a similar situation now, where we have a similar coach, we have a similar new owners and new ideas, but he was given the time. They knew what he was doing. They knew what was happening in the academy. They knew the players that were coming through, and they knew that at some point these guys were going to be first-team players. At the same time, he's starting to he brings Gary Pallister in, he brings Steve Bruce in. He's starting to build what is his own team.
Yeah. And he knows when to move players on as well, get the new players.
But that's the thing, you know, players are on the contract, so it's not so easy to move players around. And you cannot just go in and say, I'm going to take 10 players out and put 10 players in. It's not going to work. Yeah. So he obviously takes the time, but he needs everybody on board. So all the changes, if you make too many changes in one go, you know, people they do this. Yeah. You know, it's too difficult. Yeah. When you implement small changes along the way, people buy into it, and then you see the effect of it.
Peter Schmeichel appropriately left to be the last today.
And you played with wonderful players. And I think nowadays we use the term maybe world-class players or legend a bit too often, as the media. Talk me through the top 5 players that you felt had the strongest impact at United when you played with. Different positions. The strongest impact.
The strongest impact.
Yeah.
The thing is,
5.
you can't go 5 because you have to take it through the period. So every period is a building block for the next one, and in every period there's a player or 2 or 3 players that takes them up to that place. Okay.
And who were the one that would dominate?
So when I first came, I think, you know, you had players like Steve Bruce, Gary Pallister, Paul Ince in midfield, Mark Hughes up front, but you had Brian Robson at the club. So Brian is, you know, no disrespect to anyone else, but he's the best captain I've ever worked with.
Wow.
And I'm just a little bit sad that it was so much towards the end of his playing career that I played with him. But what a fantastic human being, what a fantastic leader, what a fantastic player when he played. I say I grew up watching him. That's probably stretching it, but of course, as a Man United fan, I always admire him, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So he was there, and of course, Steve Bruce became the next captain. Well, he was captain when Robert wasn't playing, and then he became club captain after that. And Brucey Palace, the combination was so, I mean, it was so important to the team.
Yeah,
yeah. You know, obviously Paul Ince, and then Eric came. So Eric is the next one that takes it, you know, to the next step. But then we do win that trophy. And then the next step, you know, you bring Roy Keane in. So that again takes it one step up. At the same time, you have Kantelskis, you have Giggs, you have Lee Sharp, you have Mark Hughes, you have Brian McClare, and it moves on. All of a sudden, you've got Paul Scholes, you've got Gary Neville, you've got Nicky Butt,
Beckham.
You've got David Beckham in there, and you still have Ryan Giggs, you know. You bring Andy Cole in, you bring Dwight. I mean, you cannot just say 5 players.
Okay, fair
because
enough.
it goes like this.
Yep.
And this is, I think, is the strength of Sir Alex Ferguson, understanding when to bring the players in. So when we win the first trophy, when we win the first Premier League, the one thing he says to us is, fantastic, well done boys, I'm proud of you, but you're never winners until you do that again. You know, you got to do it again. You always got to be better in order to call yourself winners. So the next thing is to win that. Of course, win it again is difficult in itself, but you also have to win something else. So we win the FA Cup. So the bar always was being raised a little bit, and players were coming in to help you do that.
Winning the Euros with Denmark in '92, or winning the Champions League in '99 with United, which moment felt greater for you personally?
Both, but I put at the first '93 is equally as high as winning the treble and equally as high as winning.
Why, please?
Because it's been so many years, 26 years, and I've experienced being a Man United player that came close. Oh, it's the same old Man United. So my first season we finished runners up, and we should have won. I feel that we should have won, but the whole narrative, oh, same old Man United. This is who we are. So to break out of that and to become somebody who wins the championship, experience how it changed Manchester, and at least the red part of Manchester, and it changed the way that people looked at you as well. So the first one sets us up for the treble.
Yeah,
sets
yeah.
a club up for the treble. It builds a foundation for 13 Premier League wins. It's such an important thing, so you cannot take that out of the equation.
At Man City, you shared a dressing room with Eyal Berkovic, the Israeli midfielder. And Eyal, in many interviews, he mentioned you as one of his closest teammates back then at City. But I'm not going to ask you about the Man City times. I'm going to ask you about...
Don't go Southampton. Come
on.
Yes,
please. October '96, Eyal Berkovic. No one knew about him, who is in English football until that afternoon.
Berkovic, oh, he's done it again! Eyal Berkovic just can't believe it.
And after that afternoon, everyone knew. What do you remember from his debut against you, Premier League winners, Premier League champions that season, back in '96? Yeah,
it's one of those games you kind of remember. I'm trying desperately to not remember it and to get it out of my head. But of course, we went to Newcastle the week before, and we lost 5-0. This was so out of left field and so not like us. 5-0, conceded 5 goals in one game. And we don't do that, right? So we go to Southampton the next week, and we conceded 6.
Estenstad's in here. It's 5-2. What an amazing game of football.
He scored 2. I think he set up 2 as well.
And 3 assists.
3 assists.
2 goals, 3 assists.
We've never heard about this boy before. But what a player. What a great player he was. And what a great person as well. You know, really great person. I had a really good relationship with him. For some reason, which even to this day is a mystery to me, Kevin Keegan was a manager at Man City, played somebody else in front of him. I couldn't get my head around it because I'm looking at Ireland and thinking, he's the best player we have here. He should be playing every game. You built the team up around him. And I was very good at letting everybody know as well.
Nothing has changed, by the way. Over 20
Is that right?
Nothing has changed. Let's talk about the current Man United situation. It's a long question. What do you think is not working with Ruben Amorim at the moment? Do you think Ruben is still the right person to be in charge? And from goalkeeper point of view, what's your view under Onana?
Okay, can I switch the question around? Why do you say it's not working under Ruben Amorim?
It hasn't worked even before, but it seems like even the change of management, it's actually even worse.
But how you know it's not working?
You can see the results.
Yeah, but
the body language, the atmosphere at Old Trafford.
Yeah, maybe, but you can't take that into account.
Okay. What would you consider?
See, I don't know if it's working or not working. I don't. I like Ruben Amorim. I like what he stands for. I like the brand of football. He wants a more direct football. He wants more. He wants people dribbling. But he wants it going that way. It's a lot to change with a group of players who's been used to doing this.
Yeah.
You know.
And he hasn't chosen them because he just showed how.
These are not his players. So this is why I know it's a bit cheeky asking the question the other way. Now, I've decided not to pass judgment. Not at all. This season is gone anyway. He had an opportunity to bring in players in the first January transfer window. He brought in 2 players, one to play and one for the future. When we see Patrick Dorgo that he brings in, when we see how Patrick plays, you start to understand what it is he wants to do. It gives me a little bit of hope because I like to see that way of play. I like that. I like the more directness. I like the style. You know, he wants the fullbacks up there. He wants, you know, the winging strikers to be more in, so you have more people in the box. He wants the team to be going forward. It's just a little bit difficult for him with the playing material that he's got available to him because they're not designed to do that. Now, what you have to remember is it's new ownership. It's new management of the club. They've made a lot of tough choices.
Off the pitch as well.
Yeah, and they put the club in the public eye, a certain situation. We don't know what the inner workings are. We have to trust that these guys know what they're doing. And something needed to be done. Something needed to be done. And the impact of what has been done, the decision that's been made, will not show immediately. That's going to take time. So the implementation of all those new things, the restructuring of the club, the new people, that it won't reflect on results straight away. And you've got to give Ruben Amorim time. It's similar to when Fergie came. Okay. Same thing. Okay. You know, we got to have a little bit of faith. If we finish 8th or 15th, I don't care. If we win the Europa League, win the Champions League, that would have been a fantastic season. He's already now building for the next season, and you know, so let's see. You know.
Onana, your view on the goalkeeper? You confident with him still?
I'm not confident with any players at the moment. Okay. I don't think anyone's performing to what they're supposed to do. And I can understand why the performances are like that, because it's not nice to lose games. It's not nice to always go behind. It's not nice to have to, you know, when you're struggling to score goals, that the first goal you score is to either reduce the deficit or to equalize. And then you have to, you know, it's not nice. And confidence is a big thing. And I think everyone, and that includes Andre Onana, everyone suffers from lack of confidence. I think it's so obvious, so clear when they play, and it doesn't take much for a little thing to happen, and then you're 1-0 down, and you can see the team just goes like. It will change. I can tell you absolutely 100% sure it will change.
I know you love playing the guitar, so I must ask you, what one song you would choose that will describe your career? One song you describe your career more than anything.
Oh my God, you put me on the spot.
Beautiful Day by U2?
I actually, you know, 2 weeks ago I was in Manchester, And I got some guys that I hooked up with when I was here, musicians, and they played a gig in a pub, and I joined them on the guitar, and we played that song.
Oh, fantastic.
I've never played it before in my life, but I played the song, so.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful day. Thank you.